Today we're going to glue up some tops, and I also want to talk with you guys about the subtle nuances that make life worth living. Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. As I said in the little teaser there, we're going to glue up some flame maple tops today for my upcoming semi-hollow body workshop. And I've got a bunch of advanced work to do. Here's a bunch of it right here. And there's 2 spots left. If you guys want to come out August 4th or August 18th, you could take advantage of one of the spots for the 4th, the week of the 4th, and one of the spots for the week of the 18th. So if you want to come out and build a semi-hollow body acoustic with us, I encourage you to do so. Anyway, so I've got a bunch of tops and backs to glue up. So we're going to be gluing up a maple top today. I'm going to show you guys a couple tricks. But I also want to talk with you guys about some maybe sort of philosophical kind of spiritual things, because that last video went over really well and I had a good time doing it. You guys seem to respond well to it too. So let's do that. I was having breakfast this morning with Joy, and one of our favorite places was had closed down, so we went to another location, and it was a little bit different. The food was the same, but the presentation, the atmosphere of the place was just a little different. It reminded me that that's something I wanted to talk with you guys about. So let's get started, and because it's me, I'll keep talking the whole time. And if you're just tuning in to see me give away tricks of the trade, you're probably gonna have to sit through a bunch of video. If you like the kind of stuff that I do and talk about, this is gonna be right up your alley. So I keep all the tops before they're glued up and even after they're glued up in this press to keep them from cupping or twisting or anything like that. The real trick with some of these tops is until you get them glued down to a substrate, keeping them flat can be a trick. A lot of guys have different ways to do it. I have this way to do it. So today we're going to be gluing up this top right here. There's a bunch more that I have to do. This is 3A flame maple that I got from my good friend Dan. Actually, my good friends Dan and Calvin at Tonewood Experts. These are 1/4 inch. They call them drop tops. I don't know why they call them that, but they do. Everybody calls them that now. 3A flame maple. It's gonna look terrific. So that's the one we're gonna glue up today. So anyway, I think that when you're talking about the nuances of how everything gets done, it's very easy to forget that there's lots of subtlety in life. There we go, that'll stick it down good. There's lots of subtlety in life, and even something as seemingly benign as how you store your tops, it can make a big difference. So you'll notice these guys are mostly flat, but sometimes you can probably see there's a little bit of a cup there. I'm going to show you how to deal with some of that. But it's important to pay attention to the details. You know how some people sometimes say things like, don't sweat the small stuff? No, always sweat the small stuff. And the big stuff seems to just take care of itself then. All right, let's go and prep these for glue up. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to join the glue surface. I still do this, even though it's flame maple, I still do this on a power tool. A lot of guys, we use a shooting board and a hand plane. But I have found that if you have a good sharp helical cutter, or well, you don't have to have a helical cutter, but a good sharp set of planer blades or joiner blades, this goes really well without a lot of chipping. The helical cutter certainly helps if you have really, really crazy flame or even quilt top. Yeah, you'll see. So I marked the boards before I started the joining process so that I could have the same side touching the fence on each piece. That is to say, either the glue side or the book match side was touching the fence on both pieces through. I ran the first one through and I needed to run it through a second time, so I went ahead and I ran the second piece through twice so my book match looked right. Now I'm going to hold it up to the heavens and see if it is what I call light tight. If I can see light through there, then I know that I didn't do a very good job joining. This one sealed up pretty excellently and it's ready to glue up. One last thing I'm going to do before we glue up though is I'm going to trim off this extra piece here so that I have 7 inches from my glue joint to the edge of each board. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I'm doing that on all of them, so we're going to do that now. Okay, you know, as I was trimming the excess off, I remembered why I started doing that. If your top has a little bit of a cup to it and you're not going to use this stuff on the edge, you can effectively lessen the amount of cup by cutting part of it off. So if your guitar body is, say, 13 inches and you have 2 pieces of top that you're going to join together that are 8 inches wide and they have a little bit of a cup to them, you can imagine that if you cut 2 inches off of, or 1.5 inches off of either one of them, the cup is drastically reduced, okay? So that's what we're doing here. We're just trying to make the boards as flat as we can before we glue them up. And I'm going to show you some tricks to gluing them up too. So this is the top that I just did. Actually, I did this a couple days ago, and we're going to recreate this whole clamp up procedure here. You might be wondering why I'm not using my Maximum Guitar Works top glue up jig. Well, a lot of you guys don't have this, and I don't know if Steve's doing them anymore. So I kind of wanted to show you how you can do it without one of Steve's jigs. If you have one of Steve's jigs, you can absolutely use it. You'll notice that there's a bunch of clamps here. One of the things that I have discovered when I'm gluing tops is that if they want to start moving around, they'll start moving around, and they'll start doing so in their clamps. So if I can lessen the amount of, it's funny, these clamps were tight 2 days ago. Now they're fairly loose. But my top looks reasonably flat. I'll send it through the thickness sander before it's all said and done. So if you clamp everything so that it can't move around, it won't move around. Okay, so that's a good tip, I think. We're going to grab our top here, and I like to dry fit everything. Remember how I checked to see if it was light tight? I'm going to basically do the same thing, only with clamps, to make sure that there's nothing that looks a little bit off, and make sure my book match looks good too. Okay, so these are the kind of things these are the attention to detail, I think, gang, that you really have to kind of pay attention to, whether you're eating breakfast or making guitars, right? All right, a little bit of glue, and because all of my boards are basically the same, they're 7 inches wide, I can go from one to the next. It's a way to just speed production or ease production or make things a little more efficient. I've got everything I need right here and nothing I don't. So, all right, so we'll get a little glue going there. It's probably a little too much glue in some patches. I like to use these spring clamps on the ends to keep everything from wiggling and jiggling. They're tight enough to hold the boards together, but they're loose enough to allow everything to move around when I start applying pressure with my pipe clamps. Okay, and the idea is we want to get everything as level and as even as possible. I don't know if you can see it, but there I can see from here that there is a gap under this clamp. So I want to go ahead and press that down before I really start putting the squeeze to everything. If these boards are nice and tight to the bottom of these boards are nice and tight to the top of the pipe clamps. There we go. See, you want to have it be, everything be good and flat. I get a couple more of these guys on the top here. These two clamps on the top really aren't going to be doing any extra clamp work, but they are going to prevent the thing from popping open. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, as you could probably remember from the way I had this when you guys walked in on the other piece, I had these squeeze clamps holding my top to the pipe clamps. One of the reasons I didn't put these on first is because, one, it lifts up the whole arrangement. The feet on these clamps is slightly different, not quite tall enough. And two, these clamps can put way more pressure on the top than these spring clamps do. Okay, so there you go. We'll make sure everything's nice and snug. Glue's coming out, squeezing out just like it should. Everything looks nice and flat. I can leave this until tomorrow, and when I come in, it won't be all cupped. You might be surprised if I just used the 3 clamps and didn't have all these other things. It's so dry where we are that it's very possible that this thing could be all kinds of crazy cupped if I come in 24 hours. So anyway, now what we're going to do is one last thing. We are going to send this board that is now joined through the thickness sander, and I'm not going to take it to thickness. I'm just going to get rid of any unevenness. Then I'm going to put it back under some pressure to keep it flat until I'm ready to use it. So there we go, gang, our book matched 3A flame maple top. I also put a little arrow right there so that I would know which is the book match side and which is the glue side. But this one's ready to go. I'm going to actually put it between something flat and something heavy so that it stays nice and flat until we're ready to use it. You probably could have done that without sending it through the sander, but if you stack a bunch of uneven things on a bunch of uneven things, then it doesn't want to stay flat. If you stack flat things on flat things and put them under heavy things, or put a lot of pressure on them, then they stay flat or longer. So guys, whether you are gluing tops in preparation to build a semi-hollow body guitar, or you're going to breakfast, I urge you to look for some of those nuances that life has to offer. I'm very fond of saying things like, if you know, you know. And that's funny and it's cute, but it doesn't really tell you anything, especially if you don't know and you want to know. So like I was saying, I went with Joy to breakfast this morning, and one of our very favorite breakfast spots closed down. Now, it was a chain, So we went to another one, and the food was the same, but the atmosphere was completely different. And the amount of paint that was on the banisters was different, and the amount of coziness in the restaurant was different, and the amount of wear through the old Formica booths was different, and everything was just a little more suburban and a little more homogenous at this newer place. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it wasn't the same, and it's never going to be the same. And that's kind of what one of the fascinating parts about life is, that there are things that are very similar, but when you start to notice the little differences, maybe the little imperfections, maybe the little perfections that really make life worth living. And it doesn't matter if it's breakfast or a guitar or a pen or any of the other stuff that you guys and I and you are all into. I urge you to look for those little things. Start to seek out those cool little aesthetic differences. Stuff is very similar, but it's not all the same, and you can find really great, wonderful facets in, like I said, in guitars and in breakfast foods and in people, and I urge you to do that. And again, if any of you guys are interested in coming out to build your own semi-hollow body guitar with us in August, as of right now, there are 2 spots left, one for the week of August 4th and one for the week of August 18th. If you are a returning student, you have gotten an email from me with a code to save you 15%. If you lost the email or you didn't get the email and you're a returning student and you're like, hey, I want to come build one of those guitars. I want to start looking for subtle nuances in life. I want to start doing cool stuff with you guys, or I want to do more cool stuff with you guys at Texas Toast Guitars. Send me an email. I'll get you the coupon code and you can save 15%. I really want to fill these classes up because 5 people is a respectable number. 6 is even cooler. So I want to build a lot of guitars with you guys, and I hope that you have a good time coming out here and doing that with us. So until next time, gang, this is your old buddy, Uncle Matt at Texas Toast Guitars, reminding you that if you're so smart, start your own YouTube channel. That's what I did. We'll see you next time. Have a great week, everybody.